Welcome to Emergency Use Only, a podcast that offers you empowered living in a complex world with your host, Dr. Sean Rowland, founder and CEO of Jace Medical.
Welcome, viewers and listeners, to Emergency Use Only. We are on episode number 6, and this is another episode where I get to sit down with a good friend of mine who happens to also be named Aaron. Episode 5 was a great visit with Aaron Acey. Episode 6 is another Aaron. His name is Aaron Reed, and Aaron and I go back a few years. We first met on shooting a commercial for Match.com, where Aaron plays the role of Satan looking for a date. And if you haven't seen it, it's one of the funniest commercials I think out there. So jump on YouTube and search for the Match.com Satan dates the year 2020. So that's when I first met Aaron. Since that time, we've worked a few more times together and have become good friends. Now you look at Aaron, and he's this tall, huge, you'd think meathead, but he's not. He's far from it. If anything, I would actually describe him more like an onion. And as you peel back his layers, you keep coming across really some very interesting things, from whether it's his childhood or the way he approaches life, which to me is refreshing, in that he has a very direct approach to how he deals with life, deals with difficulty, adversity, and all the craziness going on. So without further ado, here is my conversation with Aaron Reed. Enjoy. All right, welcome to the podcast. As I previously mentioned, we've got a really exciting guest here. Mr. Aaron Reed is graciously offered to spend some time with us and tell us a little bit about his amazing life and how he's gotten to where he is today. I think everyone's going to enjoy this conversation greatly. So, Aaron, with that, thank you so much and welcome.
Hey, man, thanks. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. We've been friends for a while, so anytime you got something going, I like to help out or jump in and get involved if I can.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Yeah, we were supposed to be doing this in person out here, but we'll save that for maybe version 2. But for now, we're going to take advantage and use this time here while we've got you.
Sure.
Really just, I wanted to, we talked a little bit before about just some of the things that I think would be great to go over. And maybe we just start with where you're from, what your family kind of situation was like, where you grew up, and see where that takes us.
Okay. I was born in San Diego, California, and I lived there till I was 8. And while I was there, that's when I had got diagnosed with cancer and dealt with that. And as soon as it got to a spot of remission, I moved to Oklahoma, and I grew up in Oklahoma. So I always consider myself to be from Oklahoma because it's where the bulk of my character came from, and that's where my roots are, So
Tell me a little bit then about, with your cancer. So how old were you? What was involved there? How did you get to remission? And take us through that.
Okay, so I was, 4 years old when I was diagnosed. And for me, from my memory, that's about the time I start having memories. I might have had a few before that, but I just basically remember like nothing but the hospital when I first came into this reality here. So, I just remember being very frustrated, when I was a kid, because you got all these doctors telling you, take this and we're going to give you this shot and we're going to do these IVs and do these tests and all this stuff. And I know my parents were frustrated too, because, I don't think anybody really knows how to handle that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, your kid has cancer, and there was a kid down the street had the same thing I did, and it was like, there was a lot of it was a lot of like pep talks as a kid, you know, like,
Was this was a leukemia, right?
yeah, had leukemia, yeah, ALL. And, it was like just a lot of pep talks. It was like constantly like, you're going to get through this. You can do it. One day you're going to, you're going to be able to be whatever you want, that sort of thing. And like, it's crazy because you only know what you know. You know what I mean? So like being that kid, being that person, like, man, I just wanted to not be that person. I just wanted to not be dealing with any of that. I remember like thinking like if, as a kid, I remember thinking it was the pills and all the stuff that I was getting from the hospital that was making me sick, because I would take them, then I'd feel like, you know. And so I remember thinking and I'd try to tell my mom, my mom was the main hands-on with everything. My dad, he was there a little bit, but he didn't really know how to handle that situation. He'd get all upset, from, different things, and the doctors be poking me and stuff like that. So it was harder for him to deal with that. So, I was always trying to tell my mom, like, if I could just stop taking these pills, I'm pretty sure I'm going to feel better. I know I'll feel better, and I used to kind of always, that was like my thing when I was a kid. So I thought, and, it was like a back and forth deal. There was like months on end that I was in the hospital, I had the catheter in my heart. It was like a tube to my heart. Right. And they're just like, pumping drugs into me. You know what I mean? Like all my hair fell out. I got fat, and like missed all kinds of school and stuff. And so there was like, I had to do all my lessons, in a hospital bed. I ate a ton of meals in a hospital bed. And like to this day, like I do not eat in bed. Like I don't do that. When people talk about like they want to eat in bed, I'm like, not me. I don't like it. It's just never sat well with me after that. But it was I didn't know any different. So I was
I mean, you were pretty young. So this. How long did it go for? You were 4,
until I was 8.
and then how long?
Until I was 8, man.
4 years you dealt with for 4 years, and then it went into remission.
Yeah, and like I just remember wanting to like not be that person. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want everyone talking about it around me. I don't want everybody, trying to, talk to me with like a soft hand, like, oh, I heard you were sick, whatever. I just remember being like if, if we could just act like this never happened, it would be great for me, But on the other side of it, it was like, because I was like a bubble boy for so long, like I was soft, you know what I mean? I was like, I wasn't like my older brother, he was more of like the athlete, and he was like, physically better than me at everything. He was like 2 years older than me, and he was just better than me at everything. And like, coming from a family of athletes with my pop and everything, it was like, if you weren't an athlete, you really weren't. So it was like, for me, it was really hard, I think, to bond with my dad when I was younger, because like I played the sports and did all the stuff, but it took me a little bit, like I was a little behind, and I always felt like I had to work so much harder, and then my mom had put me in school like a year early. So, I was like, it was that was a factor too that made things a little more difficult for me. But I just remember when I was a kid, all I ever wanted to do was like be this great athlete, be big and strong, and I didn't ever want to think about being a sick, weak kid. That's like, it was like always in my head, when I was a kid. Like I just, I saw Arnold Schwarzenegger and like Conan the Barbarian, and I remember I was telling my dad, like, my dad's 6'5", 300-pound dude. So when you're a kid, that's like a giant, And I remember saying to him, like, Dad, he's big, And my dad was like, oh no, that's, Arnold Schwarzenegger, 6-time Mr. Olympia, he's huge, I was just like, all right, well, now I want to look like that guy, And so like, it just went from like my focus on my pop to like, whoa. And so like, literally that was how like image in my head, I thought this guy right here is like the image of like strength and power. And like, this is what I want. I remember thinking that when I was a kid. I was like, I'm gonna give it
And you feel like that came from that strength and power was the history of the athletes in your family, your brother, or do you think some of that played into the fact that you were like, I know you say bubble boy, but
Mhm.
that you wanted so bad to not like you wanted to go that much further the other way to that strength and
Oh
power.
yeah, it definitely, because like I said, my dad was an athlete. Like he was super decorated athlete. He had like 13 scholarships for football, like right out of high school. He was like lead scorer on the basketball team. He was pitcher on the baseball team, and like just like, and he's fastest guy on the football team. He's 6'5", 220, and he's fastest guy on the team, like super fast, like all these things. And my older brother was kind of on track to be like that. And so for me, like I was always the smart one in the family. And that drove me nuts, you know what I mean? Because I was just like, yeah, real cool, like I want to, be the athlete, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and so it was like, it was, it was like all I wanted to do was figure out hows and do that. So, after my, cancer went into remission, we had moved, my parents, had split up, and then, the first time, and then they got back together, and when my dad showed up, he's like, we're moving to Oklahoma or whatever. So like we moved from California, from San Diego. We were in Rancho, San Diego at the time, and then moved to Oklahoma. And so when I got to Oklahoma, I was like, starting like this new life. But I get there, I get to this town, and like I have all this family and all these cousins and all these people. They knew me. I didn't know who they were, but like it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool move for me. It was like, all right. But then all that mattered there was like football, like God, and like beer. That's all anyone did there. You know what I mean? And so like when I got there, it was just like, I started playing like baseball and stuff, and I'd played a little baseball, I think, in California, but then t-ball and stuff. But then it was like, sports kind of really started evolving for me, and that was when like my focus became that. And I remember like I was just trying to find, when I was a kid, the thing that I was going to be good at that was physical, instead of just being the smart one all the time. I had to find, I was just always looking, because like, man, like my older brother had like this awesome like arm. He could throw a baseball real fast and far, and he played Pop Warner football. So he had to jump on like, football and stuff. And like, and
And you're healthy, you're 8, 9 at this time
mhm, mhm.
ish, right?
Yeah, and for me, everything was good. For me, I'm like, all right, all that water under the bridge, moving on. Like I didn't ever want to think about it. Like it was like something I didn't think about. Like I just didn't want to, because I always hated that. Like made you feel differently. Nobody likes to feel differently, be treated differently. You know what I mean? Nobody likes that. So yeah, a few years, I'm just doing my thing, and then the year that I got into the weight room, I was 12, and there was a guy named Gus Hankey, who's still like an older brother to me and a good friend of mine, as a mentor, and like he's like family. But he was bringing me to the gym. I was hanging out with him. I got to hang out with him before he went away to college. He was like this hometown like hero football player stud or whatever in town, and like his dad was friends with my dad, so he kind of like took me, under his wing. And for whatever reason, this dude liked hanging out with me more than my older brother. Like he would rather have me around than my older brother. He's the only person, like the only one out of everybody in town. Everybody's always like Jake everything, and like this guy was like, nah, Aaron, come on. And so like I really looked up to this guy, and like he was always going to the gym. I mean, it was crazy. He was poor as, and like, he's doing great now, but like, looking back, like his family was poor, man. And like I remember he slept in the living room in his own house. That's right. He didn't even have a bedroom in his own house, slept in the living room, and I used to think that when I'd go stay over there with him, he's sleeping on the couch and I got a little like bed on the floor. I used to think that like he was just hanging out in there with me. So I like, had someone.
You were in his room.
Yeah, because I was there, and so we'd wake up. He'd always be real quiet. He's like, "All right, hey," he's like, "Wake up, we gotta eat, we gotta go to the gym." I'm like, all right, man. So that was like, that was what we did. Like I hung out with this guy for like 2 months, like in the summer, and he was taking me to the gym with him all the time, and he was trained by a power lifter, and you know he was super strong, good at things, but I was like spotting him all the time. I'd go in there and spot him.
Was he kind of your first? I mean, I'm sure with like maybe your brother, but you're talking about him being trained with a power lifter and maybe doing things like, like was he the first exposure to like real weight training,
Yeah.
powerlifting?
Yeah, he was it.
Yeah.
He was the first person that brought me to the gym. First person, like we had those little cement little weights at the house. Everybody had the little weight set, you know what I mean? Where like we did some bench presses and stuff when I was a kid, and like I remember like that was just kind of short lived. It turns into a toy at some point. Everybody messes with it, and that's it. But like this guy, this is what he did because he's a football player. So he had to train and all this stuff. So like we'd always like eat and get to the gym. And I remember I went with him for like 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks we were doing this, he was just having me spot him, and I remember being like, I mean, you're benching like 280 pounds, man. Like I can't lift that, I'm like, there's no way I can help you. He's like, no, don't worry. He's like, just pull up on this. He was like, I only need you to help me like 40, 50 pounds, if I get real tired, And so right then and there, I learned how to spot, he just was like, you don't have to lift it all. You just got to lift some. And so we did that. And then one day I remember he was doing deadlifts with 295, and he was doing it for sets. And I sat there and I was looking at him like, I can pick that up. I'm thinking to myself, I think I can pick that up, for one, like, he was like, I told him I want to do it. And he's like, well, go on. We'll go on and try, And I was just like, he's like laughing at me, And so I grabbed like the 2.5s I put on there. So it'd be even 300 pounds, And he was like, what are you doing? Just do the 295. Just do the 295. I said, no, I'm telling you. I'm doing this. And so I put like 300 pounds on there, man. And I deadlifted. I picked it up, and his eyes lit up and he started clapping his hands. He's like, okay. He's like, holy shit. He was so fired up. And I was like, I knew that like, no matter what, I was picking that up, like no matter what, And so like at that point, I had just proven myself to be strong, and he was so impressed. He's telling everybody about it, And so then I said, well, now will you train me? Now will you, train me? And he was like, all right. So we got to it. And, I got where I could bench like 115. I was like 12 years old, and that's like the 35s. I was trying to get to the 45s, and, everything was going good. And I remember ran home to ask my older brother if he could do it, and he was like, oh yeah, I could do about that. He was full of shit too. He couldn't. Like I knew it. I knew it. And I'm like, this is it. And I was like, try and catch me. So then like I just trained like so hard because that was the thing I was good at, And right about that time, that was when I had a relapse with with my cancer situation, which was pretty crazy. So now I'm just getting going here. Life's good. I'm thinking I got this. And then bang, next thing you know, I'm like pale, tired, and my lymph nodes are all swollen up, and they taking, I'm in and out of the doctor doing tests. And I guess I didn't know it at the time, but the doctor had told my mom, his cancer came back and we think there might be another one with it, and there's really like nothing we can do, just show him a good time, and so like they didn't medicate me or nothing, and I didn't know that. But then at that point,
Did you at least know what did you know?
I knew that they were trying to figure out what's going on with me.
Okay.
That was all I knew. Like I didn't know, that what they told her, And so, I'm just living my life. And my mom's like, you know what, you're going to be fine. They're trying to figure it out. But you're going to be fine. She kept saying that, she was like, they don't always know, whatever. And she's kind of talking like that. And, man, like next thing you know, they had to do this surgery on me where they removed a couple lymph nodes. And like, I had a metal piece in my chest. I still got scars from it that they left over from the catheter I had when I was a kid. And so, I requested to take that out, when they were doing the rest. And so they did. And so I remember waking up from surgery and I was just like, all discombobulated. And I was like, that was the one thing I cared about. I was like, is that gone? Kind of thing. And then I came back. I don't know. It felt like a week later. I don't know my times so well back then, but my little brother. I know that my little brother had asked everyone at church to pray for me. I know that, like as a little kid, like stood up and asked everybody, and it's awesome, And when I came back in, I remember when I came in to get the final word about what was going on with everything, the doctor looked at his notes like the entire time he walked in the room. He walked in the room looking at his notes, sat down looking at his notes, sat there, and then he started talking, and then he finally was like, it just says that it's gone, and my mom's like, it's gone, like it's in remission, or it's gone, like there's no trace of it. And he says, ma'am, he's like, there's no trace of it. He was like, your kid is healthy, And then, my mom was like, praise Jesus, grab your stuff, we're getting out of here. And like, I never had an issue since, and like, I never had an issue since. And so, that's pretty crazy, and
Did you know at the time what your brother had done? Like, as far as talking to the church? And
he told me after. My little brother told me after. My little brother was like, had ADD real bad, so he was always real fired up. And like when we were young, I wasn't super close with my little brother. I mean, he's my little brother. He was just kind of always like, I said, he had ADD, so he was kind of like a lot. He's always real loud and stuff. And so when I came home, everything was good, and he told me that, and he slowed down. He told me. He was like, I don't know what's going on. I just remember I was like, playing with my cars or whatever I was doing. That's what he told me, which I'm sure he was, because that kid was like so ADD, couldn't concentrate or sit still. He was like, and then I don't know. I heard, the pastor, and I stood up, and he was like, I just told everybody, I want you to pray for my brother. I don't want him to die. And I think it worked. It's a crazy thing, but it's like there was nothing else that was going on,
at the time. And okay, so you're in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
You have this kind of miraculous recovery. Your parents were they're together still at this point. Well, they'd gotten back together, or were you?
It's back and forth. There's a lot of back and forth in there.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, your parents and the history in your family is pretty colorful.
Yeah. They were married and divorced 3 times to each other.
And some of their own demons that they were working through. And
my dad was fire, my mom was gasoline. They were a great combination together, I tell you. I tell you what, there was a lot going on, man. It was my dad was like a really big, aggressive guy, and my mom was very emotional, a lot of drama and stuff, and neither one of them knew how to make good decisions, and it was crazy. We were constantly going back and forth and dealing with shit. Like, there was a time when, my mom was worried what my dad was going to do. So we're like, she's got us, and we're supposed to be like hiding this whole situation, and then, a couple months later, it's like my dad to the rescue, when my mom needs something. So like, it was just there.
Was that confusing for you?
Yeah. I mean, it was like, when I was a kid, I didn't really get along with my pop until I was like 19 or 20, So for me, like, I was like, I didn't understand why they couldn't get along, but I didn't mind that he wasn't around when he wasn't around, And so like, my mom, when I was 12, so I was 12, and then they were together, and then she had finally split up the final time with my dad. And so she had moved to Colorado, and I had stayed in Oklahoma, and my dad didn't have nothing figured out. And so I called up a couple.
That's interesting, because you're saying you know, when they were separated or back and forth and all this drama, you were fine with it because it meant he wasn't around much, and that was okay with you at that younger age.
Yeah, because we just weren't because, to me, I was like, he wanted his kids to be athletes, and like, I just wasn't quite the athlete Jake was, and he'd kind of just become partial over the years, because even though I was coming into my own and things were, changing, he just kind of, and
Yeah, you were the kind of fragile one because you'd
yeah,
been through all that stuff in the hospital, yeah.
yeah,
But how come you chose to stay in Oklahoma?
man, because my mom didn't know what the fuck she was doing, man. I mean, she was going to get married to this guy that she dated in high school. So she's running off to do that and like didn't have nothing figured out. And I said, Mom, like, what are you going to do when you get up there? Like, how you going to, pay for yourself and me and Adam and, you got nothing, And she was like, yeah, but I'm your mom. And I said, I know that, but like, this just doesn't make any sense to me. So I think
And how old are you? Sorry, you're
12,
what, 14?
12.
12.
And so I was like, I just think that I should just call my friends. Let me call two of my friends and see if one of them will say I can stay with them. I said, because I think it's the best situation. So that's what I did, end up staying with
So this wasn't something, a decision you made with your dad, or I'm always blown away because I picture myself when I was 12, and I mean, to sit there and think that at 12 I'm having a conversation with my mom about how she's going to support herself, let alone me, and
yeah,
like factoring all these things, and oh, my little brother.
yeah,
So I'm just going to stay here and figure things out,
yeah,
because even though I have nothing much better here, I know it's worse with whatever you're doing.
totally.
I I don't know. I don't even know how you did that at the age of 12. Was it, I mean, maybe by then you had kind of been through this back and forth and had to become pretty independent already, to a large degree. Were you taking care of your brother a lot, your little brother?
Well, when we were in Oklahoma, nobody really had to take care of anyone. My mom did a pretty good job of raising us, like it was back in the day, it was like you went to school. When you got out of school, you rode your bikes to your friend's house and you came home when the lights went off. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it was cool
yeah.
back in the day. There's no like cell phones and all this. It was just like you ride your bike somewhere. So like when I was a kid, like we were always doing something or whatever. And, the house, we were living in was, my grandpa had bought the house and it was like $35,000 for like this little house, and this house in town. And like, so the big reason that she was leaving was because after all the turmoil and stuff, like my grandparents just decided like I'm selling that house and like you got to go. And so there was a lot of strain on everybody because it was like, my mom's like, these are your grandkids, and then, my dad is just angry, and then it was just a lot going on. So it was like, I remember being, I had some good friends, and in Minco, there was only like 1,400 people in this town. So like the town was like my family. Like I can go back there right now. I could not even let anybody know, and they can smell me and tell everybody that I'm going to be there. Like I tell you, like it's just that town, like word travels fast, and like I always felt at home. So, I just reached out to my buddy Jonathan first, and that was a no go. And then I reached out to my buddy Steve, and I'll never forget. I said, Steve, man, I really need you to come through for me. You're my last resort here. I said, I need a place to stay. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like to live with you, like, cause my she's leaving and I don't want to go with her. I don't think it's a good idea. I just don't. He was like, all right, let me ask my mom. So I hear him say, hey mom, Aaron live with us. And she was like, better ask your dad. And he's like, hey dad, can Aaron live with us? And he was like, yeah, tell him to come on,
Mhm.
and I was like, oh, sweet. I'm like, all right, I'm good. And my mom's like, okay, well, I think this is it. I'm like, just get settled. Give me a call when you get up there. Like, Adam, I guess take care of mom, and he was so young, you know what I mean? It was just like, you got to help out mom. You got to help out mom. You can do it, like, and so, she left, and then I finished out. I was in the 8th grade, so I was like 12, turning 13. And so I finished out the 8th grade there. And then after that, after that, my dad was like, we're going to go see your mother, at the end of the year, and he's going to try to win her back. This is the plan. I already know what he's trying to do, And so I'm like, all right. So we drive up to Colorado, and, she's like getting married to this new guy, or got married. I think they were married at this point. Anyway, so I don't know what my dad was trying to do, but then he gets up there, and the next thing you know, like, it started off good, but next thing you know, he's in jail, and there was like a mild amount of violence. I don't think it was anything crazy that I was used to at that point. He's in jail, so he gets out of jail, and then he's gonna head back to Oklahoma because now he has to, because like restraining orders. And so I'm like, all right, Dad, I'm gonna grab my stuff. I'm coming. He's like, nope, no, you're not. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, nope, you're staying up here. And I'm like, whoa, no, I'm coming back. Like, we were just visiting, And he was like, no. He was like, I don't have no place for you, and mom and dad, like my grandparents, they don't really want you down here, I'm like, all right. So then I was like stuck in this town, and like at the time, it was such a pain in the ass because I was just trying to come into my own here, and then I got kicked out into like this new like city. To me, it was a big city, and there might only been like 30,000 people there or something, but to me, I was like, oh, that's huge, And I was a freshman.
Did you just roll with that, or how did that affect like your self-image, your self-esteem? Was it, or just because of the previous history you'd had with your dad, it was just kind of like, well, here we go again? Was there some kind of, I mean, not like he rejected you, but I guess he probably was right. He wasn't in a situation to support you. How did that affect you?
I remember thinking like, okay, I'm stuck up here, but it's not permanent in my head. I'm like, I'll find a way to get back. I'm like, I just got to hang here, and I got to do whatever I got to do this year, or whatever. And then I'm going to find a way to get back there to Oklahoma, because like, I don't want to be up here.
I guess I've always been so impressed and always tried to understand, because I don't know if I've met too many people that are as fiercely loyal to their convictions irregardless of the consequences as you are. It's one of the things that I respect most about you. And I'm seeing kind of, it's been fascinating to kind of look back and see, okay, here's how your life was younger as you grew up, and the challenges and I'm starting to see some patterns here where, like you just said, it was like, well, okay, here's the situation I'm in, but here's my goal.
Yeah.
And here's where I know I'm going to get. And so this is what I'm going to do. And it's kind of matter of fact. And then and one way or another, it might take, a little bit, it might take a really long time, but you're going to reach that goal. Where does that come from? Was that something did it come from your parents? Did it come from a mentor? Did it come, where did you get that?
Honestly, I think I owe that mindset to going through all that chemotherapy, man. Like when I was a kid, it was just like, I know I'm going to be okay. Like, I know I'm going to be okay. I just need to have these people stop doing this to me, and I'm going to be okay, like in my own mind. So in my own mind, it was like, I started when I was at a young age, because of that, I started fantasizing about being a superhero. I started just thinking to myself, like, if I could just be big and strong, then I can do whatever I want, and like nothing could hurt me, nothing could stop me. and then I'll be okay, and that's the answer. Like, I just got to get strong, and I remember thinking that when I was a kid, and like, my mom, she was real good about always telling me that I could do anything. And it's like, you think about it, like, she gave me more, I think, than what my brothers got, because what do you say to a sick kid that's potentially dying? No, that's not going to happen, kid. No, you're not going to make it. Or no, you say, of course you can do that. Of course you can. Of course you can. So like, anytime I had like this idea of what I wanted to do or be, she's like lying to me, hoping I don't die, and telling me you can do it. And I look back and I think to myself, if it wasn't for that, I definitely wouldn't be the person I am. And so this thing that was like my greatest obstacle and my biggest insecurity, about, being like this sick kid and stuff, it turned out to be like my foundation for strength and the greatest part of who I am, because my mindset changed. And so that's where it came from.
that is it's like your superpower. And yeah, it's like your genesis, the story, which is, I love it. So let's fast forward a little bit. You've got this tumultuous upbringing with a lot of colorful stories.
Yeah.
You eventually, though, as you're kind of making your way, and you want to get into, again, strength and power is just, it's a recurring theme throughout your life.
Yeah.
And so that's that you're kind of working towards that with your physical form and that discipline and dedication. You end up in California. And so maybe let's fast forward kind of up to that point where you're in California, and gosh, I don't know if we talk about all the craziness there with COVID. Correct me, maybe where does Free Guy kind of come into play? Because you were in California at that
In
time, right?
2019. So, all right, so let's fast forward a little bit. Okay, so let's see here. Like, obviously, I got into bodybuilding when I started working out because of football and for sports.
Yeah.
I ended up being like decorated in football. I was like all state defensive end. And then I was a starting center in the basketball team. Like, it all came together. I started kicking some, you know what I mean? And like, went real good. And then, but the weightlifting was really my passion, because it was the first thing that I was good at physically, and I felt like I had so much control over my body, and I just wanted to be strong so bad. I knew that like I could just train every day and I'll get stronger. Like, I could just go to the gym every day. I remember thinking I could do push-ups, I could do sit-ups, I could go to the gym. So, that was always what I did. And, by the time I was 19, I remember I even had a couple coaches asking me if I wanted to go play college ball and go to college. I was like, nope. he was like, you sure? Are you sure? He's like, 'cause I got a couple colleges looking at you right now, and you got a real good chance, to get you a scholarship. I'm like, nope, don't want to do it. I want to be a bodybuilder, And he was like, all right. And then right after that, he's like, well, will you help train the football team, the guys for next year? I'm like, sure, man, I'll help out. All right. So it's like, I was already on that track, And so when I was 19, I competed, for the teen Colorado bodybuilding championship. I won that. And then I took third as a heavyweight in the novice class out of like 8 dudes. And there's a lot of cool stuff that went in there. But that was when I knew that bodybuilding was in my future. Like, I got this, And so, I bodybuilded for years, and then I won 3 times. And then when I was 25, I got a second place. It was the first time I lost, and I got my weight all the way up to 300 pounds, and then dieted down. I didn't know what I was doing dieting down. I dieted too quick, and it just didn't come together. And so after that, I thought, bodybuilding's cool, but maybe I should use my talents, with like wrestling or something, So I ended up moving to Las Vegas when I was 25 to try to get a contract to wrestle with the WWE. It took me 2.5 years. I did that. And then when I got my contract to wrestle, they wanted to move me to Tampa, Florida, And so, it was crazy, because I'd been in a boxing camp before that, and the year before that, and it was King Sports Boxing Camp. They were going to train me to be this like heavyweight boxer and everything. And it was going real good, man. I was It's going real good. But something happened. I had some knee issues from all the training and running. They did some tests, and they're like, oh, you have a form of hepatitis, and we can't sponsor you. You got to go. And I thought it was full. I thought they were full. I was like, nothing wrong with me. You know? And so then a year later, I get my contract offer to wrestle for the WWE, and they did all these tests. I went to Pittsburgh, and they did all the tests and everything. And then like, yeah, you're good to go. I'm like, see you. And so then I'm wrestling, you know, and then I tore my ACL in my third Battle Royal match right before Christmas. I was wrestling with like Titus O'Neil and Big E Langston, who later on went on to be the, you know, world champion. You know, he was world champion for like the last year or whatever, which is pretty cool. And so anyway, I tore my ACL in the ring. After that, they did some tests on me, and they're like, oh yeah, you got this, you know, form of hepatitis. It's treatable, you know, but you'd have to do some chemo for it. And I was like, that. Nope. I was like, nope. And so that, because it was a liver issue, and because I knew it was like potentially curable and all these things, I was like, let me just see if I can fix it with my diet. And so when I got released, I bought all these books on nutrition, and that was how I built my foundation with nutrition. And I learned so much and had all these answers to questions people didn't have answers to. Then I wrote my book, The Supernatural Lifestyle. And so once I did that, it became this huge foundation for my life, because now, you know, like, you know,
that Supernatural Lifestyle. What year was that?
I published it 2011, in January 2011. Yeah. And this was really big for me because like in the past, you know, I had, you know, taken a bunch of different performance enhancers, you know, competing and stuff like that in my early 20s and everything. Because I thought that's what you did, you know, and I was never scared of any of that stuff because I knew they gave me steroids when I was a kid. So like the word steroid to me, I think means something very different than everybody else, because when you're like, when you link it to this made me better when I was a kid, it's kind of like, I never looked at it like everyone else. So anyway, you know, I did all these different things, but when I wrestled, they were drug testing me, and I had to figure out how to be in shape, you know, while being drug tested. They drug test in the WWE, in case you're wondering. People don't know this. They drug test, you know, so like whatever. So they were drug testing me, and so I had to learn nutrition. And so then once I got released and I was learning nutrition and everything, and then it became like, man, this, like I said, foundation for me. You know, I won, I did 3 competitions in 3 weeks, and I won the Gainesville, won the overall, and then I won my division at the Florida State as a super heavy, and then I took 9th at Junior USA's. So like, this is the NPC where they don't drug test. So that was like a huge accomplishment for me, because I knew these guys were taking. I'm not holding nothing against nobody, but I was trying to prove that my book was able to, you know, give you a little bit of an edge. And so, you know, at that point I had this new foundation. And so, you know, I stayed like this natural competitor for years. I even got drug tested and competed in Musclemania and things like that. And you know,
you attribute that really to all that you had learned with nutrition.
Yeah.
That was your edge.
Yeah. And so, you know, I learned how to manipulate insulin spikes and stuff like that, you know, and so I had a really good understanding of that. And then so, you know, after a while, I was like, man, I'm ready to be Jack, because everybody's like, oh, you're definitely taking, you know, there's no way you look like this. I was like, man, I was like 245 pounds shredded. I'm 6'7". So like, I remember thinking like, if I can't be this big, like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? So I used to always be like, oh yeah, if I got a little, I'd be 300 pounds peeled, you know? It's like, here we are. And so like, for me, the big thing was like, I knew that I bring it up because I knew that if I was 6'7", 300 pounds peeled and still athletic and still me, I'm like, there is a spot in Hollywood for that guy. Like there's a spot out there for that guy. Like, you know, I might not have all the other skills, you know, to be this great actor like Tom Cruise or, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio or something like that. You know what I mean? But like, there's going to be a spot for me, you know? And so I thought if I just build myself, you know what I mean? Then when I'm ready, I'll go out there. And, you know, Dave Bautista is a buddy of mine. And he was like, I saw him at the gym one day and he was like, you need to get in movies in LA, you know? And so he planted that seed, you know, and then he was like, you need to get out there and get movies with me. I'm like, well, say the word, animal, you know, what's up? You know, he was always super cool. You know, I met him when I got my contract to wrestle for the WWE. I met him day one. He was backstage and he was super cool. And anyway, but so I'd see him a couple times a year all the time. And he'd always give me these compliments. And so it was like, he was the one that planted the seed to go do movies in LA. And so I had a meal prep company in Tampa that was based on the supernatural lifestyle. I had it for 2 years. It was starting to fizzle out because the industry became very watered down. There's a lot of meal prep companies, and these companies were selling meals for way better prices than what I was doing. And so I actually got myself built up to a point where I was doing a ton of promotional stuff, a lot of marketing, guest posing. I was traveling. I was making all this money off of bodybuilding. And it used to be my business paid for my bodybuilding, but then my bodybuilding started paying for my business. And I was like, I can't keep doing this. And so I folded the company up, and I'm going to move to, LA. And it was right after I was like about to do it. But then my friend Rich Piana died. And when he died, it was like August 25, 2016 or 17. I think it was 17. And it like hit me like a ton of bricks because we were working on some things that we were going to do together with bodybuilding and all this stuff. And then he passed away. And then my life just kind of felt like, what are you doing, man? You don't even know how much time you got. You don't know what's going on. Like Dave says, I should do movies, go to LA. I'm not married. I don't have kids. I don't have some job that I can't leave. I was like, screw it. So I gave my keys to a friend of mine and was just like, just sell everything in my apartment or keep it or throw it away, whatever. I need a big favor here. I'm like, I'll pay you later, and I, got out of there, ran out of town and left all my shit, everything. And then now I'm like, I'm driving to Las Vegas because there was a SuperLeague competition I was going to compete in. I did that. I was there for a couple weeks. It went good. I got like a third place. I remember there were some big names there, people I didn't know that I know now, but like, Larry Wheels was one of them, man. He's a super strong guy. And like, it's crazy that I beat that guy because he beat himself, but sometimes that's how it goes. You know what I mean? And so then from there, I'm trying to get to LA. Well, I ran out of money when I was there. So I called my little brother and I'm like, if I could borrow $100 for gas, that would be great. And so I did. And then he gave me the gas money and I headed to LA, figured out where the gym was, found a little parking lot. I'm like, I'm going to sleep here in the morning. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to talk them into letting me train and use the showers somehow with no money, and so I went in there and there's this cute little blonde girl working the front desk and she was like showing me around, and I'm like, okay, cool. So here's the deal. I don't have any money. So I was hoping that, maybe I could just come in here and use the showers for a few days. And as soon as I get some, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do a 2-year contract. Like, I'm going to let you sign me up, the whole deal. And she was like, oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's fine. I was like, yeah, we're good. She's like, yeah. She's like, actually, a lot of people kind of do that. And you look like you've been to the gym before. So I'm like, you're the best. I promise you won't regret it. I'll be in and out. It's going to be great, but a couple days, it'll be a couple days. Well, then.
Oh, and can I use your parking lot for?
Yeah, totally. Oh, totally. So I'm in there, crushing it, I'm like posting like I'm living the good life, like, yeah, Gold's Gym Fitness, motherfucker, what's up? I'm just like pumped, and it was great. It was going good. Well, then I called all the friends I had to try to network, and I had a buddy of mine living in LA that I didn't know he was living there. And then he says, hey, man, I'm trying to make some money. He says, come out to the house. So I go out to the house, and he's living in this white marble mansion in Beverly Hills in the 90210. And I'm like, am I in the right spot? And I'm like, bro, like, what is this? And he's like, what's up, man? And I'm like, how long have you been living here? He's like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 years. And I'm like, did I know about this? He's like, I thought I told you. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you didn't. I'm pretty sure you didn't tell me, And so I was like, this is going good. And then, he paid me like $500, to work that night, to make sure nobody touched the artwork of this little mixer we were having at the house. And then I met, his boss B, and we became friends, and then the next day I went down I went back to the gym and I had my money, the next day, and I told the girl I'm ready to sign up. She's like, well, that was fast. you know? And I said, yeah, things are working out. Things are working out, you know? So I signed up, got a 2-year membership like I did, and I went to it. And then I just, at that point, had to find a room to rent or something. And my buddy Shad Gaspar of the WWE said, you know what? I talked to the wife. We want you to come stay with us until you get on your feet. We're going to help you out a little bit, you know, because I know you're trying to make it, you know? And so he took me in, you know, and that was awesome. And so that was my first, like strong footing where I'm like, okay, I'm going to get somewhere out here now. And
what? So hold on. Why do you think, because hearing this all in one go, you know, you mentioned your first mentor back in Oklahoma, who you felt like, you know, why is he like me and not my brother? Because everyone likes my brother. Like you've always got, you've got this string of people who, for whatever reason, are drawn to help, like in these times where that's exactly what you needed.
Well, what do you think?
Why does that?
What do you think? What do you think the answer is?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, you're obviously, you know, likable and I do know there's you're the kind of person that lets people, it's kind of live and let live.
Yeah.
You're not out there to judge anyone. And it's a little bit different because you feel like someone like you, at least when I met you, you know, you're kind of at this peak of performance and you kind of expect maybe a certain attitude from someone like that. And you don't have that at all. It's very genuine, very open, no judgment. But I don't know. I mean, that's what it was for me. That's what was for me. What what drew me in.
I say this all the time, you know, sometimes God gives you favor, you know, and favor ain't fair. Not everybody gets it, you know. And I think that he's given me a lot of favor over the years, and I just try to recognize that I have it, be grateful, and do the most I can with it. But it's God, man.
Yeah, you're always humble about that too, and about yourself and your situation.
Well, you know, I don't think God gets enough credit sometimes, you know, like, I mean, my story's crazy because I actually was healed. It's a miracle. Like I'm a walking miracle. And like, I'll never forget that. And no one can ever change my mind. No one will ever make me feel any different about it, you know? And it's like, you know, I heard Mike Tyson say in an interview, he talked about favor. And he said, the thing about favor is that when God gives you favor, he says the devil gives you favor too. So if God wants you, he's like, the devil wants you more. And he said, so you got to be smart enough with your decisions to know who's who, because whoever takes you to the dance is usually who you go home with, you know? And so when he's, you know, him saying that, I thought about it a whole lot. It's like, I already know who took me to the big dance from the get-go, you know? So
there's had to have been times in your life where you didn't feel that favor. Things are not going right. And how do you get through those times? What carries you through?
There's been multiple times where I myself have got myself into hard situations, but I have never felt like I was left stranded or left alone. Never. Not one time. And, you know, there's times when, like I said, I got myself in these situations. Like I did this, you know, and there's times when it seemed like it was very dark and there was no chance at me coming out of it. I needed a miracle. And I got one every time. Every time. You know, like I remember when I was 25, right before I moved to LA, I had been running with a group of guys that were real ornery. We were all ornery. We were all kind of grew up kind of the same, similar from, you know, aggressive, you know, a lot of violence in the house and stuff. And so we were all band together as brothers, you know, trying to figure it out, you know, looking for advice from, you know, each other when we're all just as messed up as one another. And so there's a lot of fighting when I grew up. And looking back, it was probably good, because it's good that a man can learn how to handle himself and things like that, you know, that it builds a level of confidence that you can't get without it, you know. But the last thing that happened, I was, you know, drinking at a party, and I usually don't drink so much that I don't remember what's going on. That's not like me, you know, but that had happened that night, and I blacked out, and I don't remember anything. I woke up in the morning and I had all my clothes on and stuff in my room. And I had like all these text messages and phone calls and stuff. And people were like, oh my God, you know, I can't believe, you know, you hurt that kid like that. He's in the hospital and all this, and they're going on, you know. And I was just like, my blood ran cold, you know, because I had no idea what was going on. But then one of my good friends said, you're going to end up in prison. He's like, you're going to be the most talented, biggest, strongest piece in prison. He's like, that's what's going to happen. He's like, I hope you're happy. And I remember being like, oh my God. I was just like, so I dropped down and prayed on my knees. And I said, I said, God, you get me out of this one. I said, I'll leave and I'll never come back. And I said, I'll get my life going on the path I'm supposed to go. I'll get out of here, you know. So like, cut a deal, you know. That was like how I seen it, you know. And I sat there and waited. And there's times that I'd been taken to jail in the middle of the night. They come to my house, beat on my door, take me to jail because they heard that I was in a fight and something or whatever. They jerked me in. That's happened before. And so I just, instead of running, and I've run before and been gone for a week before they found me, and then they finally got me. I'm like, I'm not running. I'm not doing those things. I'm just going to wait, you know. So I sat there and waited all day, and no one came. And at the end of the day, at about 9 p.m., this kid that I didn't know that well, that knew the kid that I fought or whatever, he come by the house and he said, man, he was like, you're going to be okay. He said, you're going to be okay. And I said, what do you mean? Because he's in the hospital, you know. I said, what do you mean? How do you know? And he says, well, the cops went in there to see him. And when he came to, he was like, you know, it was Big O, you know, and it was like a nickname I had back in the day. And so right away, the cops were like, that's all we needed to hear. And they go to leave. And before they got out of the room, his sister was sitting there and said, no, wait. And they said, what's the problem? And she said, my brother wouldn't leave that big guy alone. And he told him, if you don't leave me alone, I'm going to hurt you. And then he did. And so the cops were like, oh, well, that changes things a little bit. And she was like, yeah, I can't not say nothing. And that shit is God right there. Because if she wouldn't have said anything, it was gone. Been gone. You know, that was the last straw. I had pending felonies. I had deferred felonies. I had all kind of stuff already on me. So everything that was on me, I would get hit with that and everything else I had. I would have been gone for 5 years easy, you know? And so what did I do? I kept my word and I moved. And when I moved, I had $232 in my pocket. I grabbed all that I could, just like I moved to LA. The same way when I moved to Vegas, a blanket and a pillow, a bunch of clothes, money I had, and I moved to Las Vegas, and I was like, I'm not coming back, you know? And so there's just one example that I'm giving you, you know what I mean? Where like my detriment was imminent. It was like, it would take a miracle. It would take a miracle, you know? I didn't even know what happened. You know, everyone was telling me what happened, you know? And like, I remember when I remember that day somebody asked me what happened and I didn't know what to say. So I was like, I don't know, man. They said, what happened last night? Why'd you do that? And I said, what? I said, the dude, he grabbed my dude. So like, what do you expect? Just I had to put something out there. I had to put something out there, and because I was like, I gotta have something to figure out, and then it all worked out. And so I just bring that up because it's like there's multiple situations where I got myself in something, and so that would be the answer. I would say that it's God, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so WWE, you make your way to California, drop everything. You get hooked up at the gym. You're starting to do you at least got a means to provide for yourself, maybe some bodyguard stuff, odd jobs here and there. Tell me about how did you get the call for Free Guy, and what was that like?
Oh.
I know you had done some stuff in India before, but this was kind of your first big Hollywood thing.
Yeah. Okay. So I told you my boy Shad Gaspard, took me in. Well, he's like the fucking mayor of like LA or like anywhere he goes. Like he's like the most personable guy and knows like everyone. Like, and so he introduced me to everyone in the gym. And I remember saying like, dude, man, quit introducing me to everybody. I'm not going to be new in like a week. I want to be the new guy for a while. You know what I mean? He was just like, no, you got to meet this guy. You got to meet this guy. So he introduced me to everybody. Well, he also got me an agent. He had an agent, and his agent this new agent reached out to him and said, we want to sign you or whatever. And so he was like, okay, I'll come down. And then so he brought me. He's like, come with me. He was like, I'm doing like a bait and switch. And I was like, okay. So I get down there and he was like, she starts talking to him. He was like, oh, no, I already have representation. I thought you wanted me to bring you somebody. I thought you wanted me. Oh, no. He's like, yeah, no, I've had representation for a long. I'm sorry. He's like, but this is Aaron. He's the world's tallest bodybuilder. And And she was just like, well, like whatever, kind of, you know what I mean? But they ended up signing me. So then I had an agent so I could go on auditions and stuff. And so that worked out. And then right away I got, asked to go to India, and I ran around with Dr. Tony Huge or whatever, and his like circus of friends and his little lady boy adventures and crazy like whatever. It turned into me being in India, getting in a TV series, and then going to Thailand. And then I got out of there. And, but I was in that TV show, which is a lot of fun still, but that doesn't count for Hollywood. Like Bollywood and Hollywood, those two entities they're not, there's nothing collateral there. So, when I got back, I was going on a lot of auditions and I just got told no over and over and over again, and in 2019, I'd gotten out of a relationship at the end of 2018 with a woman where it wasn't the best situation for me. So once I kind of got out of that situation, it was just me doing my thing. I was focused, and I was like, I had this, like, I started writing down my goals, everything that was going to happen. And one of the things I kept saying is, I'm going to make it in Hollywood different than everyone else. I'm not going to go to a bunch of acting classes. I'm not going to do 1,000 auditions. Like, I'm not going to be that guy. Like, I'm eventually going to get the right opportunity where they need me. They need this guy. They need all that I have. They need this. And then I'm going to crush it. I'm going to smack it out the park. And this is going to be my opportunity. And I'm going to go from there. And I used to say, that's going to be it. That's how it's going to happen, And so, that's kind of how it went at the beginning of 2019. The first 5 auditions I went on, I landed 4 of them. So like no auditions the year before, 4 out of 5 coming in, to the year. And this was amazing. So things were going good. I had all this momentum and stuff. And then, I was doing these little commercials, different little things and stuff. And then, now I had all this new confidence because everything I said was happening. It starts happening. It's one thing when you say it, And then I got a call from my agent saying, hey, I want you to go audition for this action type stunt position over here and they're going to pay you, just to show up. So, just go down there. And it was just real vague. I don't know what she was talking about. I get down there and I met Daniel Stevens, who's like the stunt double for Ryan Reynolds, for Hugh Jackman, all that. He was down there, and we were doing some stuff together. And then I also met some other stunt guys, and I didn't know who I was meeting or what or why, and they kept asking me to do all these different things, and I was like, I'm all jacked, but I can move, so that's what they were trying to figure out. Like, can this guy move? You know what I mean? so we did all these different things, and it went real good. And I remember being there, and who was I talking to? One of the stunt guys, and he says, so, where do you live? And in LA, if you live in Inglewood, which is where I lived, like, you say, like, LA, or you say, like, anything else. Like, you use Mar Vista. You don't say Inglewood, you say, oh, like the LA area, or you say the Bay Area, or just you make up some, But I was like, he's like, where do you live? I was like, Inglewood. It was hilarious because it turns out that he'd grown up in Inglewood. And so right when I said that, he's like, oh, no shit. Okay. And I'm like, yeah. So we started talking. So to me, it was hilarious because people typically in LA are just very, very phony, and they would just want to project this image. So we actually got along really good, went well, did some stuff. And then that was it. I didn't hear nothing about it. I was waiting to get paid, and I don't think I ever got paid for that. Like, my agent said I was going to, and never did. So I don't know. But about 6 weeks later, I get a phone call, and it was Sean Levy, director from Stranger Things, who was, the director of this movie. And he says, Aaron, Sean Levy. Hey, buddy. He's like, you sitting down? I said, hold on. I sat down. I'm like, I am now. What's going on? And he was like, we'd love for you to come join us on Free Guy, And I said, holy shit. I'm like, oh, man, are you serious? He's like, yeah, very serious. We loved your audition. Loved your audition, did a great job. I'm like, oh, man, that's what that was? I didn't even know what I was doing, And so we kind of had a conversation about, how it kind of came together. And I'll never forget. He's like, I've never done a casting like this before, And I'm like, well, what do you mean? My agent said she knew you guys, or whatever. And so that's kind of how it went. He was like, oh, no. And I'm like, so she didn't give me this gig? He's like, no, Aaron, no, she didn't. He's like, hold on. Google. Yeah, we Googled you. And I was like, you Googled me? I'm like, what was that like? And he starts laughing. He's like, I'm pretty sure we just punched in like the biggest, tallest, most jacked mother we could find, and you popped up. And I cracked up. And then he said, and Sven, our visual effects guy, had seen you down at Gold's Gym Venice before and knew you were local. And so once we had found you on the internet and saw that you were local to LA, we thought, let's get him in here.
It's like this, your manifestations always in one way or another work out. And that's why you don't have that agent anymore.
Yep, that's why. And so, I got through what I had to with her, and then I had to, we had to part ways because I have a great agent right now, Agent Heidi. She's awesome.
Awesome.
But, that's how it goes. I mean, that's how it goes. You can't, at the end of the day, she might have been, fibbing to me a little bit about what was going on, but I still accomplished everything I needed to. And so, I wish her the best,
So at this point, with I know you're doing a lot with, you kind of got your social media stuff going on. I know you're working on some other products and services with supplements, and tell us what's going on nowadays.
Okay. So, after that movie, it didn't come out for like a year and a half because of COVID. We filmed it in 2019. And fun fact, like, I had to get in shape 3 times for that movie because 3 different times they were like, we got to add more scenes. Like, you know how lucky you are as a first time actor to have them say they're going to add more scenes with you.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't see that coming. Real blessing, but I had to get in shape each time. I'm like, oh man, and like, cause I had to be a certain size, and you can't just, it's not like, so the movie finally came out in 2021, and it was the movie that brought people back to the theater, like nobody was going to the theater. Remember when we went to the theater? Remember? No one was in there. It's like, it was like that forever. And then Free Guy brought people back. And, so then,
It was just a little bit after that. That's when then you started doing a little bit of the commercial.
Yeah, that was in 2020. I did that commercial at Match.com commercial. That's where I met you.
Yeah, we did Match.com.
That was
which I still think probably one of the funniest commercials ever.
It was that commercial was hilarious. And remember when I had my meltdown? You don't forget. You remember that? Oh,
yeah.
Oh man.
I wasn't going to talk about it.
Yeah, you got to talk about that though, because that was like actually a period of growth for me. So, man, that's how you and me kind of like bonded and became friends, because man, like I tell you what, I've never felt so uncomfortable in my life with all that stuff on and being hot and sweaty and everything. And
yeah, you should say, so it's the Match.com awesome spot. And you are basically dressed up as Satan or Lucifer patterned after
Legend.
Oh my God. Legend. Thank you.
Legend. With Tom Cruise. And what was the
character?
Tom
Cruise. Yeah. Which turns out is a lot of prosthetics and a lot of heavy stuff. And this was new to you, and maybe a little bit of and you're in it for a long time, and dealing with a little claustrophobia.
Dude, I'm a stronger person after that commercial.
Yeah. Mentally just got you to a new place.
Yeah. Like I do much better on planes now than I used to. Like I do much better in tight places because I can just bring myself back down.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. We had a couple little just stop, which was not necessarily why I was there, but seemed to.
Yeah, no, it's not why you were there, but you were great when you were. You're easy to talk to, man. That was great because I can still almost get the same feeling when I remember that moment. Like I was losing it, dude. So that was
awesome.
That was great. So yeah, we did that. We did that commercial. After that, I moved to Florida. I got out of LA because the political climate and everything that was going on was just too much for me. So I thought I want to go somewhere where I can feel like I'm not being singled out,
Yeah, breathe a little bit with all the COVID stuff that was going on. Yeah,
so much bullshit. So I was like, yeah. So I went to Florida, and everyone was like, "Oh, you're crazy. You're at the height of your career. You're just popping off. You did this movie and this commercial, and now you're going to leave LA. It's the worst decision ever. You got to stay here and stick it out." I was like, "Nope. You and me are different." I said, "My phone's going to ring. I don't know how else to say it." I said, "It doesn't matter where I move. My phone is going to ring because I am like this niche guy with this niche type character. You know what I'm saying? So, if you need a big guy, there's like me and like 3 other guys that you're going to call. You know what I mean?" And so I was like, "Nope." And sure as shit, man, my phone's been ringing ever since I came here, and it's been great. And so, I had always tried selling my book and coaching clients online a little bit, always went, it was up and down. But then last year, I had a kid that I trained here that's a YouTuber, and he's great on social media. And his name's Judah. And he, was telling me, "You need to get on TikTok." And I was like, "Look, dude, I don't sing and dance, bro. Not doing it." He was like, "You don't have to sing and dance." I'm like, "That's good because I'm not doing it." He was like, "No, man, you just got to go on there and talk. I'm telling you just got to go on there and talk and just tell stories and talk about like whatever you're telling me. Just put the information.
Let's just spit your knowledge out." Yeah.
And I said, "Okay, I'll give it a shot." So it took me a while.
And do it unfiltered and just without just it's just who you are.
Yeah, and so it took me a minute to figure out like how that was going to go. And once I got it going, next thing you know, man, like I really started building it because I was trying to put together a wellness clinic, for testosterone replacement therapy and things like that. And I still am looking to do that, because I just feel so strongly about it, But so really the point of my TikTok and the information, I was just an oracle, just putting information out. I wasn't selling anything. And so for 3 months, I built a big following. I got like 50,000 people pretty quickly. And then somebody said, you should write a book or something. I said, well, I have. It's, Supernatural Lifestyle. And they're like, where is it? Well, next thing you know, my book sales just went crazy. I made 6 figures in just a couple months, like 2-3 months. And that changed everything for me. Then my following kept going. So now I got like 100,000, more on there. And it became, I could monetize it really well. And so everybody started asking for supplements, and they said, well, what about these supplements you mentioned in the back? And why don't you this? And why don't I just buy them from you? Or da, da, da. And I'm like, all right. So then January rolled around and I'd been trying to figure out how to start a supplement line. And January 1, I had zero supplements. By the end of January, I had 1. And right now I have 18. And I've got 1 more coming and 2 in the hopper. So by the end of the year, I should have 20 or 21. That's kind of where I'm aiming. And then my line will be complete. But so I've just been doing that, and it's had a ton of success because I'm all about like going as much the natural route as possible. So I don't have like artificial flavors, colors, sweeteners, fillers, no junk in there. And I'm, creating a premium product. And regardless
How do people find that?
you can go to thesupernaturallifestyle.com. Or you could go to trainlikeaaron.com, but the Supernatural Lifestyle is my branded, everything with my book and everything. Or you could Google me and eventually find it, but that's the best route. And, regardless of how good my supplements are now, which they're great because I make sure that they're all great, I'm going to continue to make them better. I want to have the best supplement line out there. And even if it, becomes, more expensive, some things, like, it is what it is because I'm eating these things. So I don't want to have a line where I'm just making money and selling snake oil to people. I want to have products that are legitimate, So
you're still maintaining the form and the physique. I mean, there's a strike going on currently as we're recording this in the industry, but is it safe to assume that we'll still see you somewhere on the big screen at some point, hopefully?
Yeah, I can't, I've got something in the hopper that I can't really talk about, but, if all goes well and the strike is over, you might be seeing,
Might be seeing more of the big guy.
a little bit of this next year, which would be great. Man, I love working on movies and TV. I just love it. It's like, to me, it's like bodybuilding. You put all this preparation, all this effort into this thing, and then, you polish it all up and then present it to everyone.
Yeah, into a moment. That's cool.
I love it.
So just maybe like a final, and then I'm just going to spring this one on you, but touching on, you've kind of talked a little bit about it here and there where you say like, hey, nope, this is what I'm doing. And maybe people are trying to pull you one way or another. And you have in your head, like, this is my truth. And this is, and then you act on that. How do you, what tools do you use? Or you mentioned obviously God, I know, is a big part, but when it comes to truth for you in looking around the world where there's just, I mean, it's just crazy right now. And that's it's just one of my biggest frustrations with how truth just seems to evolve. Like some things are true one day and then the next day they're not. And how do you live a life like that with any kind of consistency? So what is it for you that what things are, how do you find that truth? How do you manage all that and navigate that?
Okay. Well, I would say I've always been really big on having a clear image of my goals. First of all, I stay focused on, that's where I find purpose, And, my thing right now is I really want to help people, because everything I'm doing is to help people with my nutrition, my training, my supplements. It's all, I want to help people. And so I'm doing everything I can to give as much of myself to the world as I can, because I realize now at this stage in my life that like I actually have something worth giving to people. For the longest time I kept trying to get somewhere, and now I feel like I'm here, and I've had a ton of success, and everything's going good financially, and just everything's going so good, and I want to help people. So, I focus on, my purpose, what I have, because it's like I've always swam upstream. And I feel like this life for me has always been hard, and it's just going to get harder. And so I have to be hard. And so instead of me worrying about what everyone else is doing, I'm going to be the best that I can be, because not only am I going to be the best I can be for me, but for everyone that I'm helping and trying to help. So it comes down to that. And in my immediate space is my tribe. I worry about my tribe. When there's chaos and all hell's breaking loose, just worry about your tribe, because at the end of the day, you can't save everybody, and the strength of your tribe is probably going to depict your future. And so that's what I do. I focus on the people close to me and my purpose, and the rest of this is just noise to me. These people, they want to talk about all these, crazy genders, and then they want to talk about, aliens now or whatever it is. They got all kind of going on that I don't even like to watch the news, or I don't watch the news, and I don't even get too many clips, but, that's it, man. Focus on my purpose, focus on my tribe.
Yeah, I love what you said about helping. Let all the noise be noise. Focus just on helping others, on the people you surround yourself with. I heard something just recently from an interview that that Shia LaBeouf did, talking about his rehab experience, and he's gone through quite a bit the last few years and coming out on the other side. And he said this thing which kind of resonated with what something else you said, where he stopped focusing his life on how can I be happy? What's the next thing that I'm going to do that's going to make me, make me happy? And instead, his focus is how can I be useful?
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's exactly what you just said. The times in your life where you're focused on that next moment of joy or happiness, it can take you into some weird places and you can get lost. But when you're focused on being useful in this world, being useful to other people, then the irony is that's where you find the happiness that lasts. That's true. That's true. And that's the truth we're looking for. Right. And so, yeah, I think sounds like you guys are on the same page there. And I know that's been my experience with you, is you putting the lifetime of knowledge and experience and helping others with that, in that, like you said before, that niche area that you're in, and that's your world, and it's awesome, and you're doing you're doing big things there. So congratulations on your success,
Thanks.
so far, and I know you've got some bright things coming down the road, and I'm excited to continue to follow that.
Sure, man. And, hopefully soon my travels will take me out your way,
Yeah, absolutely. No, they will. No, that, yeah, we're gonna get you out here.
we'll figure it out. Yeah, everything's going good, man. I think, the last thing is like, I think as a man, you are happiest with purpose.
You got to have a purpose. Yeah, it's so much. It's a hollow life just thinking about how you're going to get that next moment of whatever that
Yeah.
joy or whatever that is. That pleasure.
It doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Like, I think, it's like the old saying, like, if you ask a man if he could pick, respect or love, the man almost every time will pick respect, because it feels like love. So it's like when you have a purpose and you're able to do that thing that you're good at. There's a level of respect that comes with that, and so it facilitates a lot. I think that's the main thing.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks, Aaron. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll do another one and get some of your hardcore stories out there.
Yes, sir.
Maybe for like the deep cut version.
So
there's
the unadulterated, the explicit.
Yeah, right. The director
try to keep it toned down a little bit, but it's, just trying to stay on a trajectory here. But
no, it was great. Thank you so much.
You bet, man. You bet. All right. Well, you take care, man, and we'll talk to you soon. Let me know you need something.
Yeah, we'll talk soon.
Thanks for listening to Emergency Use Only, Empowered Living in a Complex World. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and that it helped bring some light into your day. Remember, you have the ability to overcome your problems and maintain positivity throughout your life.